Okay. You want to go alphabetical? You want to reverse it? You want to go by position? Which way you want to go?
Your choice.
My choice? All right. Let's go by state. So from Virginia, no. All right, I'll start up top. Braylon Addison. Braylon is just an unbelievable athlete. Played quarterback, had been a receiver, can do a lot of different things. Led his team to the state championship game almost kind of single-handedly. You know, I know there's some other good players at Hightower, but obviously Braylon was the force behind that. He's a kid we recruited as an athlete that can play a lot of different positions for us. You know, when you look at Braylon's tape, I mean, he can play quarterback. I don't know if that's his ultimate position, but, you know, sometimes I think in high school, you know, you put a kid back there because he's your best athlete and you try to run things around him, but, you know, he may not have the arm to do that. I joke with John Boyette. He reminds me of John a little bit, but John can't throw like Braylon can throw. So John still thinks he should be a quarterback, but, you know, Braylon could legitimately line up at a lot of places and play quarterback. So I don't know if he's a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver. He's a guy that, you know, as a staff, we just need to figure out how we can get the ball in his hands because he's that type of athlete. Chance Allen is a big receiver for us. Physical, tough, catches the ball great in one-on-one matchups. He's a real difficult matchup, I think. With the loss of LT2A, we really wanted to upgrade our size at the wide receiver position, and I think Chance really gives us, you know, Chance along with Dwayne, I'll talk about Dwayne at the end, gives us that, you know, that bigger receiver that I'm used to having. When I got here in 2007, we had Garen Strong and Cameron Colvin and Brian Pasinger and Jason Williams and guys like that. You know, it's real difficult, I think, in this conference if you're an under 6-foot receiver, unless you're absolutely dynamic. You know, it's a bigger receiver league, and there's some real physical DBs, so I think Chance helps us there. Both Stephen and Eric Amoka, two kids we had in camp. That's interesting that Eric is listed at 5'11" and Stephen is listed at 6 foot because they are identical. I can't believe that that's not the same. So, two great kids. Had them in camp. They did a great job for us. We're here for a couple of days in camp. Really competitive, physical guys. Not sure exactly where they'll play, whether they'll play corner or safety. In John Neal's system, he'll use them at all spots and then kind of settle. You know, Avery Patterson's a great example of that. That's kind of played a couple different spots. Is he a safety? Is he a corner? We wanted to get some athletes and again increase our size there, so we got bigger and taller in the secondary. And Stephen and Eric bring a real physical presence from that standpoint. Eric Armstead is a big defensive line prospect. One of the things that intrigued us about him is his athleticism. You know, he's athletic enough to be recruited as a college basketball player, and we'll get the opportunity to play for Coach Altman. I know Dana really was excited about the prospect of getting a big body like that, but, you know, what we're looking for in a defensive lineman, because he's so athletic and he can move, and that's where I think he's intriguing to us. Dylan Osherman is the punter I spoke about earlier. He's got 3 years of eligibility, 2 years of eligibility, but 3 years to play it. So in an ideal world, with Jackson being a senior, if we could bring in Dylan and redshirt him and not have to play him, then get 2 more years of eligibility out of him, that would be the ideal situation. But he's ready to kick at the college level right now. So, you know, hopefully the only way he'd get in the game is if for some reason there was something wrong with Jackson. So, but I think he provides us some depth there, and we just didn't want to wait, you know, as a staff till next year when Jackson was gone and then try to break in a young guy. You know, if you can get a guy in here and get him acclimated a little bit, that helps. Brent Pavaro was a local kid, Liberty High School up in Hillsborough. He was another kid that was in camp and just flashed. I remember the first time I saw him, there was 2 scrimmages going on, and there was a huge play down the other end, and I was like, who was that? And it was Brett. And then 2 plays later, who was that again? It was Brett. And then I stopped watching this game, and I went down and watched this game. And competitor, good size, explosive, real good athlete, great baseball player. You know, so I know DP was real excited about getting him and adding him to the mix, you know, with the loss of Stuckey and Cadu. Stetson Bear is the brother of Brandon Bear. You know, hopefully got to fill out a little bit more, but is that tall. He's a taller version of Brandon. Played at Iowa Western Junior College where Jared Ebert came from last year. Really excited about him. He's got a huge upside. Really interested on where he'll fit in. You know, he's already gone on his mission, so he's a little bit older, a little bit more mature, and he'll help us obviously. Alex Balducci is a great prospect for us out of Central Catholic High School. up in Portland. And actually, the reason I was late to this press conference was because the local kid was the last kid to get his paperwork in. So, but Alex is big, tough, physical kid. We've had him in camp. I think actually 2 years ago we had him in camp. Exactly, that athleticism. Played really, really well in the U.S. Army All-American game, and then even better from the reports we got. We weren't there, but people that some high school coaches that watched him in practice down there was really, really impressed with Alex. Evan Bayless is a tight end that was one of our top, our two top tight end prospects were Evan Bayless and Farrell Brown, and we landed both of them. Oz did a great job. Evan's out of Denver. He'll enroll early for us. He'll come in and that first week of April and be here for spring ball. Eric Armstead, I should have said that, is trying to do. We'll be doing the same thing. So those guys that will have a jump start on things. But Evan's a physical football player. He's all of 6'5". He'll get a chance, I think, because of our depth at tight end, to if he can get in the mix during spring ball, to hopefully see what he can do for us next fall. Farrell Brown is a tremendous athlete right outside of Cleveland. Was a high-profile kid. Wanted to be a tight end, got recruited and actually committed to another school as a defensive end, but wanted to play tight end. He'll certainly play tight end to us. Reminds me a little of Ed Dixon, and his athletic ability like a basketball player. I know Oz watched him play hoop last Thursday, and he had 30 points, 22 rebounds, and 5 dunks. So we're putting together a pretty good basketball squad here. DeForest Buckner is all of 6'7", from Punahou. Kid that, really a top prospect. When you saw him on tape for the first time, just loved him. Great kid. Another great basketball player. As watched him play last week, he had 9 dunks in one game. Athletic, exactly what we're looking for in the D-line. We like that taller, longer defensive lineman that has the athleticism, and DeForest typifies that. Cody Carringer is an outstanding athlete who's run 11 flat in the 100 meters in Montana. He's 6'6", 230, another great basketball player. Was up over the summertime, and really excited about him. I think the only reason Cody doesn't have a little bit more publicity coming in is just because he's from Montana, but if he was at a California kid or something like that, I believe he would have been one of the top kids in the country. T.J. Daniel, Nick recruited out of the Bay Area, out of Bishop O'Dowd, is an athlete. I don't know if he's a tight end. Nick saw him play hoop. He's another really raw athlete that will play somewhere either at the tight end or the defensive line spot for us. Can run, can jump, is explosive, and is going to get bigger. Reggie Daniels is a defensive back out of Hamilton, I think where Tyler Johnstone's from, down in Arizona. Explosive defensive back, real physical football player. Could be a safety, but has the ability to play corner. Again, we got bigger and taller in the secondary, and that helped us. O'Shea Dunmore, local kid out of Newport, who's one of the best athletes in the country, just based upon his scores as a decathlete. I think he scored the most points in the Oregon State track meet this past spring. But really adds a lot. He's a football, basketball, track kid that I think once he fully concentrates on football, it'll be interesting to see where he was. I saw O'Shea last week, and I think he said he's up to 205 now. So I don't know what he's going to top out at weight-wise, but he's got a frame to carry some more weight, and I think really has the athleticism and the speed and the explosiveness to play in the secondary for us. Jeff Lockheed's another kid we had in camp, from Monte Vista, played in the league down there where he was the unanimous MVP, and there were 2 other kids in that league that went to BCS schools, but was the unanimous MVP. Played a little as a junior and just really came on his senior year. Great anticipation, throws the ball on time, just kind of has a great savvy and knowledge of the game. Really impressed with him, and a chance to have him in person helped. Kyle Long is just a tremendous prospect that will have an opportunity to come in and play right away. We lost a couple kids in Mark Asper and Darian Weems up front, so kind of filling a hole there, but was a defensive lineman and then switched his last year at Saddleback to play offensive line, which is probably his natural position. But athletically he could play D-line anywhere in the country, but I think he's maybe looking towards the next level. He's all of 6'7", and real excited about getting Kyle up here this summer and getting him going. Byron Marshall was our top running back prospect all along. His brother Cameron plays for Arizona State, so we know all about the Marshall family. Sister runs track at Arizona, one of the fastest kids in the country as a sophomore, and will continue to run track this year. Had a couple injuries last year in the track season, but know that he can run. Really a kid that I think is dynamic with the ball in his hands. He got outstanding speed. Jake Rodriguez, the quarterback out of Rockland Whitney High School, is on campus right now. Was an Elite 11 quarterback. Really like Jake's athleticism. I think both him and Jeff are what we're looking for in a quarterback. They're quarterbacks that have the ability to run, but they're quarterbacks first and foremost. And Jake's recovering right now, but should be full go by the time we start spring ball. So it'll be nice, with Brian and Marcus and Jake, that we'll get 3 guys in there taking snaps in the spring. And then Dwayne Stanford is a big receiver out of Cincinnati Taft High School, another outstanding basketball player. Played in the U.S. Army All-American game. Again, gives us that size that we were really looking for, along with Chance, to make us a little bit bigger and a lot more physical on the perimeter. So that's an A to S, top to bottom, alphabetical.